What's up, everybody? How you doing? We're back again with another one, and today we're checking out a called Rustage and F AI official music video. I'm not familiar with Rustage. This is my very first time coming across them. I was just flicking through my YouTube, and then I come across this, and it just looked like saying F AI and how AI is basically ruining the music industry. It's just replacing it's basically trying to replace artists like with this computer generated slop, and we can't have that. We can't have that. It's basically it's like trying to replace blood, sweat, and tears, heart and soul for you know cold just boring AI slop that just has no, because AI has no feeling, it has no emotion whatsoever, no emotions involved, and it's really just ruining the music industry, from whether it's artists who are signed to record labels and the independent scene as well. For it's replacing, I mean, it's just really, I don't know. And we don't want it to replace real artists. We'll just go bring it. This AI is just replacing everything, and it's just. Yeah, I don't know. I'm sick of it. So we're gonna check out Rustage. We're going to see what they're talking about. So, with that said, without further ado, subscribe to Rustage YouTube channel, supporting it. The real artist is what this reaction channel is all about. So, that said, without further ado, let's go in. Yeah, let's dive in. Let's see what they're talking about. Let's go.
You can see the flood in our feeds and devices. Heart torn away for the greedy and lifeless. How can the slop ever be so divisive? Pointless and practice with feeds in our climate. Scan every thread, every email online. Doubt every text, but read every line. It's a hive from this chat GPT in the writing. We won't be free of this price. I see them generating my targets. They like the sewage and flooding us with this garbage. Trying to stall and pittings with 100% of the others. Now we're seeding and reporting. We're saturating the market. You got people saying, fuck it, I'm using it all regardless. Only making funny videos, it's pretty harmless. Like, bitch, I won't be giving you any chances. When you find a sister, you better know how it started. They be forming bonds with an e-mate. Put them in their own little dreamscape. Talking with AI like a friend till they can't think the same and they're taught how to behave. This is not a topic of a debate. We don't get the privilege to be safe. Posting up your kids on the net, then they strip them with grog and they share all the deep fakes. They ain't gonna care, it's your son or your daughter. They make the money, the profit.
Whoa, what the wow. Wow. Oh, I wasn't. I didn't know whether this is going to be rap, hip hop. Like I said, I've never heard of Rustage. But wow. Yeah, and it's basically raging a war against AI, and I think, and rightfully so, rightfully so. But yeah, well, we're gonna listen to this through, and then we're gonna go through it. Well, not exactly line for line, but we're gonna pick out some of the important bars, and then we're gonna break it down to the best we can. We're gonna. Oh, this, but wow.
On slaughter, death of consumer and death of the author. They gambled your future and burned up your water. We put our faith in these common enforcers for cheap entertainment and soulless performance. And it's not fucking worth it. We can't put it back like the box of Pandora. Yes, I'm not surprised at the uses of it's in common. Nothing new created, we're plummeting to the bottom. Normal people working and realize there's a problem, so they're quitting information. The cigarettes in the offices are written and recycled till evidence is forgotten. To be treating chatbots like doctors and correspondents. Watching mice select the nods to the left with no more options. Should be basing moral choices on a thing without a conscious fucking AI. Stealing identities of a filter for FaceTime. I'll make an enemy and I'll kill for the daylight. Don't want to take sides, but they can fuck up the plunder knowing that they do it for the pay rise. I know so many others who barely scrape by, having the other cycle sold at the same price. Down into an instant, waiting till paint dry. Greed an epidemic that's ending their great minds. I'm seeing teachers use it. I'm seeing colleagues and peers abuse it. Why do I feel like the weird one? When did it get to this point? They could see me lose it. Stop sending me your AI music.
Yeah, when did it get to the point where we're you know, why we're so like, why are we being made to feel that to be dependent on AI? And it's just taken over and it's just ruined everything. It's supposed to be for, like, oh, AI is for the better. No, it's not. It's not. And I feel that this song is not like this ain't a random rant. You know what I mean? It's focused on critique from the perspective of an independent artist, an independent creator. Because it covers like the plagiarism and the theft from a lot of the artists. He argues that he's arguing that AI models are trained on the blood and sweat and the blood, sweat and tears of human artists without their consent and their or compensation. It's just what I mean. It's just taking just stealing from real artists, real human artists, and without any remorse. You know what I mean? Because a machine doesn't feel anything. You know, a machine feels nothing because it has no feelings. And when an artist, when they make their music, they put the heart, the soul, sweat, tears, into their music. And then you get these machines, these AI machines that just come along and just try to take that away and steal that. You know what I mean? It's just that is just. Sorry, I don't mean to keep saying it. You know what I mean? As I only say that because it's a cause of habit, and I'm sorry about that. But what I'm saying is just how is this being allowed? And for these AI bots, if we can just for these AI bots to be used to steal from real artists, from real human artists, and without their consent, and it's like because like your heart and soul, your feeling is something that that no, no, you can't replicate that. Your blood, sweat, heart, your blood, sweat, tears, heart, and soul is something that a machine would never ever be able to you can't replicate that. You can't, you know what I mean? You can't replicate real human emotion. You really cannot. Because if you're trying to replicate it using an AI machine, you can't. You're not. It's not authentic, and in music, authenticity is key, especially in hip hop. Especially in hip hop, or authenticity means everything. That's the absolute like that's the foundation of what can fucking build you and what can that builds your career and makes you go be respected in say say the hip hop field and in the field of music. Whether you're a signed artist or you're independent, authenticity is everything. And AI cannot replicate authenticity because it's not authentic. It's stolen, it's copied, and it's just copy and pasted, and it's not right. It's absolutely fucking wrong. And
your AI voices that your AI's using, I'm sick of it. Think your AI stupid. You'll burn down the world for your AI usage.
The pennies dropped.
Yeah. We're gonna we're gonna go through this again. We're gonna try and catch what more bars again, and we're gonna talk a lot more about this. It's just it's important to not just say just for the artists as well, but it's also for the fans. Of fans of music. And that goes for all like bands from every genre. You know, it's important. It's important to us listeners and us as of fans of real music. You know, because this AI is just ruining everything. So we're gonna go for this. Um,
You can see the flood in our feeds and devices, hearts on away for the greedy and lifeless. How can the slop ever be so divisive? Pointless and practice with feeds in our climb. Scan every thread, every email online. Doubt every text, but read every line. It's a high from this chat GPT in the writing. We won't be free of this crisis. I see them generating my targets, pumping up the sewage of
like you can tell, this is a very like high energy, very aggressive. This where Rustage is just voicing his frustrations and he stands on the use of AI in creative fields and especially regarding art, music, and voice acting. You know, because I mean, what they're trying to do, they're trying to get rid of like real artists and replace it with this AI slop. You know, so because at the core, you know, it's just Rustage is so he argues that AI models are trained on the blood, sweat, and tears of human artists without their consent. So they clearly they're stealing. You know, and you know, there's nothing that we've already spoke on. Like, you know, they can't how AI cannot like replicate like the heart and soul real music. And I like how Rustage just like emphasizes the flaws and emotions and the intent behind human made art. What you know, that's what gives its value, and it's absolutely, you know what I mean. It's something he believes, you know, something that he believes that you know, algorithms cannot replicate, and it's absolutely true. You cannot replicate heart and soul, and the true form of art is heart and soul, blood, sweat, tears. You know, and AI can't replicate.
flooding us with this garbage. Trying to solve beatings without consent of the others. Now we're seeding a point, we're saturating the mud. You got people saying,
fuck it, I'm using it all regardless. Only making funny videos is pretty harmless.
like, bitch, I won't be giving you any chances. When you find a sister, you better know how it started. They be forming bonds with an e-mate. Put them in their own little dreamscape. Talking with AI like a friend, so they can't think the same and they're taught how to behave. This is not a topic of a debate. We don't get the privilege to be safe. Posting up your kids on the net, then they strip them with grok and they share all the deep fakes. They ain't gonna care, it's your son or your daughter. They make the money, they'll profit on slaughter. Death of consumer and death of the author. They gambled your future and burned up your water. We put our faith in these common and forces of cheap entertainment and soulless performance. And it's not fucking worth it. We can't put it back like the box of Pandora. Yes, I'm not surprised at the uses of it's a common. Nothing new created, we're plummeting to the bottom. No more people working.
Nothing you created is product of the bottom. Like, you know, it's just, yeah, it's not. There's so this AI slop. It just doesn't have the authenticity of what real artists put into their music. As I spoke on earlier, you know, AI cannot. You know, authenticity is everything. Is key. You can only get that from real music, from human music. Like, and it's like, you know, and he's talking about like the devaluation of the effort. Like, he speaks on like the frustration in seeing like prompt engineers claim that the same creative status as people who have spent decades honoring the craft, only for it to just be, you know, because all this AI slop is basically all it's doing is just devaluating what real music is. And the real music of real artists, it just has no AI. All this AI slop has no value. It doesn't.
And it realizes the problems of the quitting information. The cigarettes in the office is written and recycled till evidence is forgotten to be treating chatbots like dodgers and correspondents. Watching mice select the noises to the left with no more options. Should be basing moral choices on a thing without a conscious fucking AI. Stealing identities of a filter for FaceTime. I'll make an enemy and I'll kill for the daylight. Don't want to take sides, but they go fuck up the planet knowing that they do it for the pay rise. I know so many others who barely scrape by. Happy that our recycles sold at the same price. Talented and internet waiting till paint dry. Breed an epidemic that's ending their great minds.
I'm seeing teachers use it. I'm seeing colleagues and peers abuse it. Why do I feel like the weird one? When did it get to this point? They could see me lose it.
No, when did it get to this point? No, where did it get to the point where we got to use all this fucking AI shit? You know, whatever happened to like people like, you know, if you want to find out information, you want to learn about something, yeah, you went to the fucking library, you picked up a fucking book, you read. Yeah, you didn't use all this AI slop to fucking think for you and do the hard work for you. Because what's happening is it's just creating a fucking generation of fucking lazy people, in my opinion, you know, and like, and for the how this impacts like the industry of like the music and stuff like that. And I love how this song is, you know, it touches on the fear of like corporations using AI, you know, to like cut costs by replacing voice actors and designers, leading to a hollow entertainment industry. And it's simply, and it is doing that. And that's exactly what AI is doing. It's like cut, because you won't need to pay like real people to you know, to design something, to create something, and do all the real proper hard work with a heart, soul, blood, sweat, and tears. You know, you wouldn't need to like pay human beings, because you don't need to pay a robot. You know, you don't need to pay a robot to fucking do anything. You know what I mean? You know, a robot doesn't need fucking. You know what I mean? So it's just, so what is this world coming to? This, I hate it. I hate all this AI shit, especially when it comes to art and entertainment.
Stop sending me your AI music, your AI voices that your AI's using. I'm sick of it. Think your AI stupid. You'll burn down the world for your AI usage.
You'll burn down the world with your AI usage. Absolutely. You know, and I feel like, you know, that song was very blunt, very direct. There was no there was no sugarcoating in this one. You know, it's like, especially with the lines like, "It's a mockery of," it's a mockery of everything we've built, or calling out a lack of humanity in generated generated content. You know, because auto-generated content has no fucking value at all, because it just has no heart, soul, blood, sweat, and tears. You know, it has nothing. You know, it's just copy and paste. You know what I mean? It's just, and it's stealing. It's stealing off real artists and real people. You know, and the fact is, and also it's destroying people's fucking livelihood, because you know we're coming to the point where we don't need fucking people anymore. We don't need humans no more. Then what happens to us? Do we become extinct? You know, because we get to a point where we're no, we're not. If we're being replaced by fucking robots, then we're not. You know, then there's no need for fucking humans. And the only time we need, the only thing you need humans for is to program the robots to do our work and our jobs. You know, and but anyway, as the song title, as Rustage says, fuck AI. To the truest extent. That's all I've got to say on that. But yeah, if you enjoyed today's reaction, like, share, subscribe if that's what you're into. And yeah, I'll see you in the next one. Thank you very much for watching. Bye for now. Cheers, peace. Have a good one.